This morning at 9:17 a.m., the National Weather Service upgraded northeastern Kansas to a level 4 out of 5 moderate risk for severe weather. That is the second highest designation on the entire scale, and it is in effect for today, Monday, May 18th, 2026. The Storm Prediction Center is forecasting large hail up to 4 inches in diameter, damaging wind gusts exceeding 75 miles per hour, and tornadoes possibly stronger than EF2 for cities including Lincoln, Omaha, Kansas City, Oklahoma City, and Dallas. The severe weather corridor stretching from northwest of San Antonio, Texas, all the way to Marquette, Michigan on the shores of Lake Superior is 200 miles long. AccuWeather's chief on-air meteorologist Bernie Rayno said this morning, Monday may bring the greatest risk of severe weather and tornadoes in more than a week to the central states. An outbreak of severe weather is anticipated. Millions of people are about to get hit, and this is Weather Signal. Let us start with what the numbers actually tell us about today, because the combination of parameters being forecast for Monday, May 18th is genuinely alarming and deserves to be communicated clearly rather than buried in meteorological jargon. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a level 4 out of 5 moderate risk for severe weather for northeastern Kansas on Monday. On a 5-level scale, level 4 is the second highest designation possible. A level 5, high risk, the rarest designation on the SPC's scale, issued only 2 to 3 times per year on average, signals a severe weather outbreak that could have violent and long-track tornadoes, or a long-lived and widespread damaging wind event. Level 4 is one step below that. It means forecasters have very high confidence that severe weather will be widespread, impactful, and dangerous. The Storm Prediction Center forecasts large hail of up to 4 inches in diameter and tornadoes possibly stronger than EF2, in addition to damaging wind gusts exceeding 75 miles per hour for the highest risk areas today. 4-inch hail is the size of a softball. It falls at terminal velocity exceeding 100 miles per hour. It does not bounce. It does not roll. It impacts with force capable of instantly shattering tempered glass windshields, punching through vehicle roofs, stripping shingles from homes, and causing serious injury to anyone caught outside without overhead cover. And in today's setup, that hail threat is not confined to the level 4 zone. A vast area of some risk of severe weather on Saturday will include 10 states and the major metro of Indianapolis. Today's threat zone stretches across nearly a dozen states from Texas to Michigan. The severe weather threat on Monday includes the major metro areas of Oklahoma City, Dallas, Kansas City, Omaha, and St. Louis. This is the specific list of cities that AccuWeather placed directly inside the threat zone as of this morning. Combined, those metropolitan areas contain tens of millions of residents. This is not a rural threat affecting sparsely populated farmland. This is a threat that is centered over some of the most densely populated urban corridors in the central United States. AccuWeather raised the severe weather threat level to high from part of central Kansas to a portion of central Iowa from Monday to Monday night. AccuWeather meteorologists are raising the severe weather threat level to high from part of central Kansas to a portion of central Iowa from Monday to Monday night. This means that severe thunderstorms are expected to be widespread in this zone. When AccuWeather designates an area as a high threat, their own impact-driven system that differs from the SPC's probability-based scale, they are communicating directly to the public that widespread severe weather is expected. Not possible, not likely, expected. To fully understand why today's threat is so significant, you need to understand what happened yesterday, because Sunday's severe weather was not a minor warm-up event. It was a damaging outbreak in its own right that left communities across Nebraska and Iowa dealing with downed trees, power outages, and structural damage, even before Monday's more dangerous system arrives. A volatile environment, primed for significant severe weather, was expected to develop across portions of Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa Sunday afternoon, and then continue through the evening, according to the U.S. Storm Prediction Center. This area was outlined in an enhanced risk for severe weather, or a level 3 out of 5, indicating that numerous severe storms were expected. A risk for strong tornadoes, possibly as strong as EF2 on the enhanced Fujita scale, was especially high for central and eastern Nebraska, including the cities of Lincoln and Omaha. On Saturday, a risk of severe weather extended along a 1,000-mile swath from southeastern Wyoming to western Kentucky. A few tornadoes were possible with the strongest storms, along with straight-line wind gusts of 70 to 80 mph and an AccuWeather local storm max of 90 miles per hour. That is significantly stronger than Category 1 hurricane force winds. And it came from a straight-line wind event, not a tornado, but the outflow from a severe thunderstorm affecting a 1,000-mile geographic corridor. A more concentrated zone of severe thunderstorms extended across a large part of Nebraska, western Iowa, and parts of northern Kansas and Missouri. Communities in that zone spent Sunday dealing with the cleanup and power restoration that always follows a significant severe weather event. And now, less than 24 hours later, they are waking up to a Monday forecast that is more dangerous than Sunday's was. The specific atmospheric configuration that makes Monday the most dangerous day of this multi-day outbreak sequence is now well understood by every meteorologist tracking the system, and it deserves a clear explanation so that people in the threat zone understand precisely why today has been singled out from every other day this week. Warm and muggy air is in place ahead of a strong cold front. These conditions are helping to initiate storms Sunday before creating the chance for another round of severe weather Monday as the storm system moves east. That warm, muggy air is the atmospheric fuel. The strong cold front is the trigger that will ignite it, and the combination of the two, maximum fuel meeting maximum triggering mechanism, is what produces the most explosive and dangerous severe thunderstorm development of the entire outbreak sequence. The Storm Prediction Center confirmed that as the morning of May 17th arrived, the National Weather Service upgraded the risk to a level 4 out of 5 moderate risk for northeastern Kansas on Monday. That upgrade did not happen because the models showed a marginal increase in parameters overnight. It happened because every major forecast model converged on the same conclusion simultaneously. The atmospheric setup for Monday has become exceptional. The warm sector moisture that has been building for days is now at maximum depth. The low-level jet that drives rotating supercell development is forecast to strengthen rapidly through Monday afternoon and into the evening. And the cold front charging southward and eastward is carrying with it a zone of forcing for thunderstorm initiation that will trigger storms explosively across a wide geographic area. Torrential downpours may go beyond providing drought relief and instead lead to flash flooding in urban areas and along small streams. This is the detail that most people miss when they focus on the tornado threat. The same storms that produce tornadoes and large hail also produce extreme rainfall rates. In a charged atmospheric environment like today's, individual supercell thunderstorms can drop 2 to 3 inches of rain in under an hour over a very small geographic area. When that rainfall rate hits urban pavement, it exceeds the drainage capacity of any city's storm sewer system almost instantly. Streets flood within minutes. Underpasses become swimming pools. Cars stall in water that rose faster than anyone expected. Let me be specific about which cities and regions are facing the greatest risk today, because the level 4 zone in northeastern Kansas and the broader threat corridor affect communities with very different levels of severe weather experience and very different shelter infrastructures. Northeastern Kansas, sitting directly under the level 4 moderate risk, is the absolute bullseye today. This region covers the Ansys-Flinked Hills, the Konza Prairie, and the communities north and northeast of Topeka toward the Kansas-Nebraska border. This is genuinely rural territory in many areas, which creates a specific shelter challenge. Rural communities often have fewer public storm shelters, fewer buildings with basements, and greater distances between locations of refuge. A farmer working a field at 4 p.m. when supercells begin developing needs to be already moving to shelter before the first tornado warning is issued, not reacting to it after the fact. Kansas City sits at the junction of the level 4 zone and the broader level 3 enhanced risk, placing it directly in the transition zone where the threat is severe but slightly less concentrated than the northeastern Kansas bullseye. Kansas City has a dense urban core with tall buildings, a sprawling suburban footprint, and millions of residents. In a significant tornado event, the urban canopy, trees, signage, loose objects, becomes a secondary hazard as debris is accelerated by violent winds into populated areas. Omaha and Lincoln in Nebraska are both in today's threat zone. These are two of the largest population centers in the Great Plains, and both have extensive experience with severe weather. But experience does not confer immunity. The same communities that are most prepared for severe weather are also the communities that have the most assets at risk: more homes, more vehicles, more businesses, more infrastructure that can be damaged. Oklahoma City and Dallas are in the broader level 2 slight risk zone that extends south of the main level 4 core, but their inclusion in the threat corridor is significant. The severe weather threat on Monday includes the major metro areas of Oklahoma City, Dallas, Kansas City, Omaha, and St. Louis. For Oklahoma City specifically, this season's repeated severe weather events have left community members exhausted and alert systems strained from overuse. Alert fatigue, a psychological phenomenon where people stop responding urgently to repeated warnings after many false alarms or non-impactful events, is a real and documented public safety concern in communities that have experienced multiple severe weather events in close succession. What makes this week so significant is that today's outbreak is not a standalone event that ends when the cold front clears. The severe weather threat will then continue into Tuesday, though likely not as severe as it was on Sunday and Monday. Storms capable of severe weather will move east, with a zone stretching from near Wichita Falls, Texas, up into Michigan and southern Ontario, having the risk of damaging wind gusts and flooding downpours once more. The severe weather threat on Tuesday includes the major metro areas of Oklahoma City and St. Louis and will also extend to include Chicago and Detroit. Chicago and Detroit. Two of the largest metropolitan areas in the Midwest are being added to the severe weather threat corridor on Tuesday. Chicago, with a metropolitan population exceeding 9 million people, is not a city with extensive experience managing tornado threats in densely built urban environments. High-rise residential buildings do not provide below-ground shelter. The elevated rail infrastructure of the L system creates wind channeling effects that can amplify wind speeds in street-level corridors. And the lakefront geography of Chicago means that storms can approach rapidly across Lake Michigan with very short radar warning time for the lakefront communities. Some risk of severe weather will push into parts of the Appalachians and the Atlantic seaboard on Wednesday. By Wednesday, the threat reaches the Appalachians and the Atlantic seaboard. A 7-day severe weather corridor that began in the southern plains last week is now going to deliver its final chapter to communities from West Virginia to the mid-Atlantic coast by midweek. This is the geographic expression of what AccuWeather described as a multi-day severe weather outbreak stretching from Sunday, May 17th through at least Tuesday, May 19th, with impacts continuing through Wednesday. As the number of severe thunderstorms ramps up and storms move into the Midwest's and the East's denser network of major airport hubs, flight delays and cancellations will increase next week. The aviation impact of this week's severe weather is already being felt. Storms of this scale, covering a 200-mile corridor and affecting nearly a dozen states simultaneously, disrupt hub and spoke aviation networks across the entire eastern half of the country. Delays at Kansas City ripple through connecting flights at Chicago. Cancellations at Dallas affect flights at Atlanta. The economic impact of today's outbreak extends far beyond the communities directly in the storm's path. To understand why today's Level 4 outbreak carries such weight, you need to understand the full arc of what the 2026 severe weather season has already produced. Because today is not an isolated peak. It is the latest and most acute expression of a season that has been shattering records since February. Following an EF5 tornado that impacted Indiana in March, more than 300 tornadoes were reported by mid-April, with the NWS Chicago office recording its highest number of warnings ever, an EF5 tornado in Indiana in March. The highest warning count ever recorded by the NWS Chicago office through mid-April. 300 tornadoes by mid-April alone. These are the milestones that define the baseline from which today's Level 4 outbreak is launching. Worldwide, 15 tornado-related deaths have been confirmed in 2026, 12 in the United States, 2 in India, and 1 in Israel. The Wikipedia Tornadoes of 2026 page, updated just 12 hours ago, documents the death toll that this season has already accumulated. 12 Americans killed by tornadoes in 2026. Each of those deaths occurred in a community that received warnings. Each happened to someone who was caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, in the wrong structure at the wrong moment. And the season is now entering the most statistically active window of the entire year for the Central Plains. The NWS Chicago office data confirmed that as of April 19th, 2026, there had already been 11 individual thunderstorm events associated with at least one report of severe weather within their forecast area, against a historical average of approximately 4 such days from January 1st through April 30. Nearly 3 times the historical average in the Great Lakes region alone. And Illinois already leads the nation in tornado, hail, and wind reports so far in 2026, according to UPI's coverage of the season. The Climate Central $1 billion disaster database, which tracks weather events with losses exceeding $1 billion, has already documented a March 15th to 16 tornado outbreak and severe storm system that swept across multiple states in the central and eastern United States, with more than 50 tornadoes reported on March 15th. Alone, the greatest concentration across southern Illinois, western Kentucky, northeast Arkansas, and southeast Missouri. These storms caused widespread damage to homes, businesses, vehicles, and critical infrastructure. The 2020 to 2024 annual average of billion-dollar weather disasters was 23 events per year. Based on the pace of 2026 so far, this year is on track to challenge or exceed that number. While the central United States faces a Level 4 tornado outbreak today, it is worth recognizing that today's severe weather does not exist in isolation from the other extreme weather events unfolding simultaneously across the planet. The Wikipedia Weather of 2026 page, updated just 2 days ago, documents a year of relentless global weather extremes that provides essential context for what is happening in the United States right now. Fires from January to April 2026 burned more than 150 million hectares, 370, 66 million acres of land, 20% more than the previous record. The largest wildfire season ever recorded globally in the January through April period, occurring simultaneously with the most active severe weather season in recent U.S. history. May 1 through present, an extreme heat wave gripped South Asia, with temperatures exceeding 46 degrees Celsius, 115 degrees Fahrenheit in parts of India and Pakistan, characterized by record high nighttime temperatures, significantly increasing the risk of heat stroke and placing unprecedented strain on regional power grids. The Center for American Progress documented that extreme heat is the nation's deadliest weather-related threat, and in most years, kills more Americans than floods, tornadoes, and hurricanes combined. More than 21,000 deaths in the United States from 1999 to 2023 were recorded as being related to heat. Nearly 210 million Americans live in counties vulnerable to health threats from unexpectedly high summer temperatures. And the June 2025 heat dome, which subjected more than 255 million Americans to what meteorologists call dangerous, life-threatening conditions of triple-digit temperatures and high humidity, serves as the most recent reminder of what this summer's heat threat could look like under the influence of a developing Super El Niño. The Climate Central billion-dollar disaster database is equally sobering in its historical context. From 1980 through 2024, the United States suffered 426 separate billion-dollar weather and climate deserter. These events took an estimated 17,194 lives and resulted in damages exceeding $1 trillion, inflation adjusted. The 1980 through 2024 annual average is 9, $0 billion events per year. The annual average for the most recent 5 years, 2020 through 2024, is 23, 0 events per year. The trend line is not flat, it is accelerating. And every severe weather outbreak of the scale being forecast for today represents another potential entry in that database. There's a dimension of today's severe weather threat that is not meteorological, but that has direct implications for public safety, and it needs to be addressed directly. The Wikipedia Tornadoes of 2026 page documented a disturbing incident during the February tornado outbreak in Michigan. According to the page, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer's office called for a probe into the absence of a tornado watch alert during the Michigan outbreak and questioned if it could be attributed to President Donald Trump's funding cutbacks to the National Weather Service. A tornado that killed multiple people in a small 3-county area of Michigan struck in a location where neither a tornado watch nor a severe thunderstorm watch had been put into effect, due to the storm being primarily concentrated in a small area that made it difficult to detect in advance. The highest risk level in the area that day was a level 1 marginal risk. Governor Whitmer's office specifically raised questions about whether staffing and resource cutbacks at the National Weather Service contributed to the failure to issue an earlier watch or warning. This is not a political statement. It is a public safety statement. The National Weather Service is the institution that issues every tornado warning, every severe thunderstorm warning, every flash flood warning in the United States. The accuracy, timeliness, and coverage of those warnings are directly dependent on the staffing levels, the equipment maintenance, and the operational capacity of the NWS offices that serve every community in the country. In a season where a level 4 outbreak is unfolding today across a 1,200-mile corridor covering nearly a dozen states, the capacity of every NWS office in that corridor to issue timely, accurate warnings is not an abstract policy question. It is a life safety question. For anyone in the level 4 moderate risk zone across northeastern Kansas, and for everyone in the broader level 3 enhanced risk zone spanning Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, and the southern Great Lakes, the action window is right now. Storms are expected to begin firing with the daytime heating in the afternoon, somewhere between 2 and 5 p.m. local time depending on your specific location. That means you have this morning and early afternoon to complete your preparations before conditions become dangerous. Know where your shelter is and go there now if you have not already identified it. A below-ground basement is the best possible shelter from a tornado. If your home does not have a basement, an interior bathroom or closet on the lowest floor, surrounded by the greatest number of interior walls, and as far from exterior windows as possible, is your best option. If you are in a mobile home, manufactured structure, or vehicle, those locations offer essentially no protection from a direct tornado strike. You need to identify a nearby sturdy permanent building that you can reach within 60 seconds of receiving a tornado warning. Enable wireless emergency alerts on every phone in your household right now. Go into your phone settings and verify that emergency alerts are enabled. Turn the volume all the way up. If you plan to be outside, working or driving during the afternoon and evening hours today, make sure you have a way to receive warnings regardless of where you are. AccuWeather and Weather Signal both provide push notifications that can reach you before official NWS warnings are even issued. Do not drive through flooded roads at any point today or tonight. The same storms producing tornado and hail threats are also going to produce torrential rainfall. Roads that are passable at 3 p.m. may be flooded and dangerous by 6 p.m. Water 2 feet deep, moving at any significant velocity, can sweep away most vehicles. Every year, the most preventable severe weather deaths occur when people drive through flooded roads they thought were passable. For Chicago, Detroit, and other Midwest and Great Lakes communities facing Tuesday's threat, use today's window of relative calm to prepare before tomorrow's storms arrive. The threat on Tuesday is not as concentrated as Monday's, but it covers a broader geographic footprint and includes major metro areas with millions of residents who may not be as weather aware as communities in traditional tornado country. A level 4 moderate risk. A 1,200-mile severe weather corridor from San Antonio to Lake Superior. Large hail up to 4 inches. Wind gust to 75 miles per hour or beyond. Tornadoes possibly stronger than EF2. Millions of people in the crosshairs from Kansas to Michigan. An EF5 in Indiana in March. Over 300 tornadoes by mid-April. The NWS Chicago office with the highest warning count ever recorded. And now the most dangerous severe weather day in more than a week, arriving today across the central United States. This is the forecast that matters most right now. Hit subscribe on Weather Signal and turn your notifications fully on immediately. When tornado watches begin dropping across Kansas and Nebraska this afternoon, and when the level 4 risk area starts generating the first tornado warnings of this outbreak, you need those updates the moment they are issued, not 20 minutes later when someone shares them on social media. Share this video right now with everyone you know in Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Oklahoma, and the broader corridor from Texas to Michigan. The time to prepare is this morning before the afternoon heating triggers the first supercells. Hit that like button so this reaches more people while there is still time to act. Stay sheltered when warnings are issued. Stay off flooded roads tonight. Weather Signal will be back with damage assessments and the Tuesday through Wednesday threat breakdown as this outbreak unfolds. We will see you in the next forecast.